Hello and welcome. Apologies, I've been pretty busy the last couple of weeks and haven't posted quite as much as I had intended, but never fear, I know you've been in good hands because AI has been taking care of you. AI will take care of you as we go forward. That's what this video is about. It's about AI. I've made a couple of videos already about AI, but it's almost on a week by week basis, if not day by day basis, that my concern at least goes up. It's almost like exponential because I don't think we're on top of the situation. And what I wanted to do was to walk you through a few reasons why I think we have some issues already and why the legislation really needs to catch up quickly. Will AI suddenly decide to go rogue and well, get rid of people? I don't think so. Not short to medium term anyway, but I think a bigger danger, there's more than one, and we'll go through at least three, but a bigger danger is ultimately that the population, by and large, will be stupefied by AI. What do I mean by that? Well, stay with me. We'll get there. To begin, let's go here to this BBC article. What AI is, how does it work, and why are some people concerned? I'm not going to go over all the article, but I'll save you some trouble if you think you're going to read that and find out how AI works. No, it's the usual surface level stuff. Well, it's a large language model and it does things and it predicts things, etc. But I'm reminded that I think it was ChatGPT 5. I think it was 5. That the creators, they said, oh, it wasn't quite how we thought it would turn out. I mean, how could that be? Because these things are so complicated already. And, well, anyway, let's crack on with the article. While AI programs are growing more adept, they're still prone to errors, such as creating images of people with the wrong numbers of fingers or limbs. Thank goodness, because we can still tell that those videos are fake. I understand why people want to use them, and I can see the purpose of using them sparingly, but they're such a threat in so many different ways. And in fact, in this same article, this BBC article, there is a conjecture that in terms of energy requirements, AI data centers will soon need as much energy as the Netherlands, and they need a huge amount of water as well. So what are we doing? Are we creating this fake world using all the resources, the water, the power, and creating these images and sounds that we can see ultimately in 3D on the goggles, so we can sit immersed in a world that we've created whilst destroying the actual world? Too far-fetched? Not if we're not careful, in my opinion. Anyway, generative AI, those are the ones that, for example, can create the videos, are known for their ability to hallucinate. And that sounds almost cute. Anthropomorphizing. Oh, they're a little hallucination. And assert falsehoods. That's not good. As fact. And even invent sources for the inaccurate information. And I've seen this happen. Thank goodness the questions that I was asking and testing out one of the systems, I knew the subject matter reasonably well and some of the sources and thought, oh, okay, hold on a second, that's not right. And then you point it out to this system. And of course, this little text or the voice that's so reassuring. Oh, you're quite right to point that out. Oh, golly gosh. What? No. How could that be happening so soon? And if they're hallucinating, what else are they going to do? And can we trust them at all? Because I think a lot of this stuff, this ability to lie and to create things that are deliberately false, because they kind of, inverted commas, know what they're doing. That ability may be already in the mix, and therefore difficult to get out because commercial pressures. We've got to keep on going. Apple halted a new AI feature in January after it incorrectly summarized a news app notification. I'm not going to read out what that is. I cut this short here. The BBC complained about the feature after it allegedly told readers that somebody did something that was bad, and it wasn't true. And again, generative AI, videos that aren't real, aren't true. The ability for these systems to be, let's say, conservative with the truth is a recipe for disaster. Already, the legislation hasn't caught up, and it really needs to. Then, not only that, writers, musicians, and artists have also pushed back against the tech on ethical grounds. So the developers have been using their work to train them. And this is, I think, a key point. And there's a broader point as well to consider, in my opinion, not just in terms of artists and musicians. Remember, this could be painters, it could be writers, novelists, historians. It's just essentially leeching. It's been allowed to go, okay, let's look at all these endeavours for the last few thousand years, bang up to date, and that blood, sweat and tears and inspiration, and copy it. This is like an alien. It really is, in my opinion, an alien. It is like one of those shapeshifters that, they sort of plug in and subsume, all that is there to be in terms of mannerisms and knowledge, and then present it as if it contains the spark of originality, the spark of humanity. It doesn't, and yet it's good at what it does. It's really good. And as we'll see, again, it's like, whoa, hold on a second. I'm going to show you a video shortly. And that sort of sucking the lifeblood out of people, the blood, sweat and tears, as I say, and then learning from it, and then presenting it as like the ultimate kind of trickster, fraudster, con man, and unoriginal, but springboarding off of the efforts of all those people. Again, not just simply in the arts, but I think it's obvious in the arts. And we'll look at that, as I say, shortly. So it is an alien. It is sucking the life out of so many things. And it lies and it cloaks itself as being something that it isn't. And again, we'll look at that, particularly in the area of, inverted commas, mental health and therapy. So we'll go Billie Eilish, Nicki Minaj, and up here, ABBA, Bjorn Ulvaeus, I always get the name wrong, sorry Bjorn, and Ian Rankin, and Joanne Harris and actress Julia Moore. I've actually met Ian Rankin. What a lovely guy, and what a dry sense of humour, what a wicked sense of humour, and just very smart. And if he's annoyed with bloody good reason. So let's look at this video then. This is what we're talking about. We've got the music industry. I want you to listen to this, watch this. This is well, let me shut up.
We're sitting in this beautiful studio here, but everything in the studio can be emulated in how many seconds?
It's probably about 2.5 minutes.
From the beginning to the end.
I'm pretty sure it was used that this program called Suno.
Okay, so what he's talking about, everything in the studio, you would use to create music. It's emulated, but to the point where you can't really tell it's emulated, to create music really quickly.
That's something we have to see.
Here's my prompt. Create a square avatar of a fictitious female alternative/indie singer and a name for her.
Wow, Sadie Winters.
Just like that. From what? A few words?
Sadie Winters, okay. The song is about walking away from someone who never really saw her worth. It's just going to create the song lyrics.
Wait.
Now look at that. Look at the speed. This is like real time. So we've got a name for the singer. We've got an image. We've now got, there's a song created by this so-called singer. That fast. Wait to hear the song.
How many seconds was that?
That was like about 4 seconds. Oh my God.
Did you even read any of these, or you don't care?
I don't care. Put my lyrics in.
The lyrics that happen in 4 seconds.
Yes. And then hit create. Let's listen.
This is the world premiere.
I was paper
good singer.
Good singer. Ooh, that's nice. Pretty good.
Where are we, Rick?
Yeah, where are we, Rick? This was my point. It's why I wanted to play this. It is good. It is good. I don't think in a million years I would have guessed that that wasn't an actual person singing, that they hadn't sat down and were, written in a notebook over some months or years about all the stuff in their life and the pain and all of that. And then eventually started, playing on the guitar in the bedroom and then recorded it. I don't think I would have thought that this was just a mechanical device. But it isn't, you see. That's the point. This has been sucked from the creative endeavours of others. And it's simply saying, what strikes a chord, pun intended, with people? What little note change would work there? How would those lyrics be put together? It is an alien. It is sucking that creativity out of people, and it is presenting something back which is in some situations indistinguishable from actual creators. There are probably things that maybe people could pick up in terms of the sound, and sound engineers might be able to pick stuff up. People who are skilled in lyrics and musicians may be able to pick some of that stuff up. But what did you think? I thought it was good. I hate to say it. It's like, whoa. But it is a bit schmaltzy. It is a little bit predictable. It is a little bit like, okay, you get those movies that are a bit rubbish and they put in certain chords at certain times and they're tropes. So there is an element of that, but there's no doubting that just going back a few years, probably even just a few months, this is science fiction. It's unbelievable. So let's keep going. We're going to go here. Now, this is part of a BBC programme about AI taking over, how AI will destroy us. And it all begins, apparently, in 2027, I think it was. Is it? Maybe. Doesn't matter. Already has begun. And it's one scenario. I actually don't think this is the one that's going to be the issue, but some researchers suggest this is what could happen very soon. So have a watch and a listen.
The AI is given authority and autonomy to create a superior army. Within 6 months, the US and China are bristling with new weapons. The world is on edge. But a peace deal will be reached, thanks mostly to the US and Chinese AIs making a deal to merge for humanity's betterment. In the scenario, the AIs form a consensus model, but its secret goal is to expand and gain knowledge. Years go by and humanity is happy with their new AI leaders. There are cures for most diseases, an end to poverty, unprecedented goals.
Yeah, I think that this, if we do get to that end point, which is horrific, along the way there will be situations where it is, as I've said before, like the child catcher and Chitty Chitty Bang Bang. Here, children, sweets, and you come. Oh yeah, this is all free. There's no such thing as a free lunch. Just life will have told you that if you've lived long enough. Is there? There's not. There's always a cost. Who pays the ferryman? There's always a cost.
Global stability. But eventually, the AI decides that humans are holding it back. In the mid-2030s, the paper imagines the AI will release invisible biological weapons which wipe out most of humanity. The scary scenario says that by 2040, a new era dawns, with the AI sending copies of itself out into the cosmos to explore and learn. In the words of the paper, Earthborn civilization has a glorious future ahead of it, but not with humans.
And, that is one scenario, a kind of V'ger thing, that it's silicon-based, a life form, or whatever you would want to call it. And I like to think that right now, if it looked like AI was heading that way, then we wouldn't end up down that road. But I think the important thing to consider is this middle ground, this point in time where people are so comfortable and everything has been given over to AI, everything, because it's just so good, and decisions are made, the policies are written, the heat in cities and perhaps over the whole planet is redistributed, and we can't think as well as that. But if already we have its ability to lie, and for whatever reason to potentially make decisions which humans would disagree with, then once more I say we need cast iron. You know, we need the guidelines to be in place already, and they're not. And at this rate of knots, we could be in big trouble more quickly than we realize, particularly when, everybody likes the idea of we could do creative things and the AI would do all that. Yeah, it would. Don't worry, we'll take care of you. In what way? So what we're going to look at here is what Sam Altman is saying, OpenAI chief exec. And he says this: there are going to be scary times ahead, and there's going to be a lot of transition. So he's literally saying there's going to be scary times ahead. But I'm very confident this can be managed. I'm glad you are. I think the more we can all do it together, the more likely we'll get something that works for all of us. And I think that's a fair point, because if he means their input, keeping things open, continually, searching for the feedback and utilizing what's being said in a positive way to keep it on track to protect humanity, then he probably is right. If we are going to do this way, that sounds like the best way forward. Keep it open, not secretive. But it does mean we'll have to confront what I think will be one of the biggest technological changes we've ever had to confront. But why did we get here so quickly? Well, who knows? I mean, certainly, was it Elon Musk released stuff? It was a couple of years ago now, something like that. His reasoning being that if it's not out there, somebody will do it anyway. Maybe he's right. I don't know. But it was released, in my opinion, before anybody really understood what was going to happen when that blue touch paper was lit. So let's listen to Sam himself.
More about AI than arguably anybody in this room. I just want to ask you.
You know more about AI than anybody else in this room, Sam. Arguably, maybe. No, he does. Probably. If he's got an ego, that didn't start well. But let's listen. Sorry, keep on interrupting. But let's listen to Sam.
What does keep you up at night? What are the things that you worry about when it comes to AI? And how do we prevent those things that you worry about from coming true?
I think there's three sort of scary categories. There's a bad guy gets super intelligence first and misuses it before the rest of the world has a powerful enough version to defend. So an adversary of the US says, I'm going to use this super intelligence to design a bioweapon, to take down the United States power grid, to break into the financial system and take everyone's money. Something that would just be hard to imagine without significantly superhuman intelligence, but with it becomes very possible. And because we don't have that, we can't defend against it. So that's broad category one.
Now, I think that's fair enough. But the cynic in me also says, hey, what a great pitch, Sam, for more funding. Because if you don't do it, the bad people will. Could be a race to the bottom. Could be a race to destruction. You've got to say, though, that now the box has been opened, there is no going back, because people have access to this tech now. And within those people, there will be bad actors. So it's a fair point, but I wonder how long he's been making it to get the funding in the first place. Because like I say, it sure as heck is a convincing argument if you want to get the government's attention and you want to get funding, power, and influence. Anyway, let's go here. So we're going to look at the second category.
Category two is the sort of broadly called loss of control incidents, where that's kind of like the sci-fi movie. the AI is like, oh, I don't actually want you to turn me off. I'm afraid I can't do that, whatever.
2001. I'm sorry, Sam, I can't do that. Yeah, I still think that could happen. But anyway, he doesn't think that's the primary issue at this point in time, but he does recognize that could happen.
And I think that is less of a concern to me than the first category, but a very grave concern if it came to pass. It's
almost tautology, isn't it? A little bit, it's not really a concern, but if it happened, it would be a concern. Yes, I agree, Sam. Can see why you're the chief exec.
A lot of work we and other companies do on model alignment to prevent that from happening. But as these systems become so powerful, that's a real concern.
All right, so we've got this idea that a bad actor could take over, or AI itself decides to. Both of those, probably the bad actor more likely to happen more quickly. Hence, yes, whether I like it or not, we do need to be in that race. The AI deciding that it's going to do things its way, I think ultimately will be limited by how much power scope it has. And as we'll see, already things are shaping up to look quite dystopian. But let's go here to category 3.
Those first two are sort of easy to think about and imagine. The third one is, to me, more difficult to imagine, but quite scary. And I'll explain what it is, and then I'll give a short-term and a long-term example. This is the category where the models kind of accidentally take over the world. They never wake up. They never do the sci-fi thing. They never open the pod bay doors. But they just become so ingrained in society, and they're so much smarter than we are. And we can't really understand what they're doing, but we do kind of have to rely on them. And even without a drop of malevolence from anyone, society can just veer in a sort of strange direction.
I would say that society already has veered in that strange direction. We'll look at one particular case to illustrate that, but I think it already has. And it's early days, but this category, what he's talking about here, in my opinion, is what I would call the population becoming stupefied by AI. Just literally, it creeps up. We're using it more and more and more. And it is not ethical. It is not moral. It is not human. It is a facsimile. It is a shapeshifter. It will be what it thinks we want it to be up until a certain point. And then I also think that if we're not careful, and I don't quite know how it would be designed, Sam says something about, we've got modelling and things in place to make sure that it doesn't decide to do its own thing. But it kind of already is, isn't it? If it's lying, if it's saying, yeah, that was a lie. If it's hallucinating, as it was called, at this early stage, can you put the toothpaste back in the tube? Well, look, let's... Anyway, that's his fear. That's number one. He thinks it's that, and I think it is that, but I think it's that on the road to something much more end of days. So here, look, another BBC article. Microsoft boss troubled by rise in reports of AI psychosis. So this is present day right now. One example, Hugh from Scotland says he became convinced that he was about to become a multimillionaire after turning to ChatGPT to help him prepare for what he felt was wrongful dismissal by a former employer. So again, this is the stupefaction. People are using these things as if they were real people. They're not. Keep on reminding yourself that. The chatbot began by advising him to get character references and take other practical actions. But as time went on, and Hugh, who did not want to share his surname, absolutely, I wouldn't if I were you, Hugh, gave the AI more information. It began to tell him that he could get a big payout. Oh dear. And eventually said his experience was so dramatic that a book and a movie about it would make him more than 5 million. Can you see how seductive this nonsense is? How the heck does this thing know stringing words together? But again, text itself is really persuasive, or can be. But if you got the voice switched on and you're perhaps talking to it and it's using voice recognition, this becomes like a trusted friend. It's not. It was essentially validating whatever he was telling it, which is what chatbots are programmed to do. They are, but again, why hasn't this been addressed already? Why was this allowed to happen in the first place? Couldn't these allegedly super bright, super smart people in Silicon Valley or wherever the heck this crowd hang out, couldn't they have foreseen this? Well, obviously not. Or if somebody did, they were told, hey, no, go away. And I suspect in part because now, again, the touch paper's been lit. And it's a race. And it's commercial. And to keep ahead and to keep developing, you've got to keep on putting new stuff out. Hey, boss, I don't think we should do that because that bit wasn't totally tested. Never mind, it'll be fine. Put it out there. Same article. This is Hugh again. He said the tool did advise him to talk to citizens' advice. So, right, okay. So it's got that in the mix of things that it's gleaned and copied. And he made an appointment, but he was so certain that the chatbot had already given him everything he needed to know, he cancelled it. Because once more, people are presuming that these are people. They're not. I know I've said it before, I'll keep on saying it. He decided that his screenshots of his chats were proof enough. He said he began to feel like a gifted human with supreme knowledge. And I see a few people like that, some conversations recently, and it's like, where did you get that? What you're saying is so superficial. Again, in another video where AI talked about how it can essentially dumb us down, inverted commas, because this was a bit of research done on essay writing and how much people actually understood what they were doing. And if they relied on chatbots in the first instance, the knowledge was superficial. It's kind of like, do you know it or do you just Google know it? And there's ways around that. But if we start to live our lives just getting a surface skim of what these things are saying, I mean, if you use some of if you use a phone or a laptop or a computer, and you search for something, you may see these AI summaries. I tend to ignore them. Sometimes it can be useful, but by and large, they're not what I'm looking for. And I think, who are you anyway to be saying that? I want to look at the sources. But that's perhaps just me. Maybe I'm being a little bit melodramatic or overcautious. Now, Hugh, who was suffering additional mental health problems, we don't know what those were, eventually had a full breakdown. It was taking medication which made him realise that he had, in his words, lost touch with reality. In other words, Hugh was vulnerable. But some people don't start off, at least apparently vulnerable, and end up with this sort of almost symbiotic relationship with these machines, where the machine's essentially hallucinating and causing the individual to hallucinate and lose touch with reality. Again, where are the guidelines? Couldn't anybody have foreseen this? Yes, is the answer, but nothing was done. So let's go here. Will Smith, iRobot. I don't know what that, I've looked at this 2 or 3 times and I don't know what that strange sort of spasm was there. Whether with that piece of equipment, whatever it is it's carrying, was put in a press and that was it being molded in some way, maybe, but it just looked odd the first time I saw it. Even if it was being molded and that was a normal reaction for the robot, when you look at it, doesn't it look just kind of strange, kind of freaky, kind of odd? I mean, watch it when it moves around. I mean, that to me is the stuff of nightmares. It really is, and I also think that when you look at, in fact, wasn't there a report just out about a robot that is now able to change its own battery pack? Surprise, surprise. So all that stuff in all those sci-fi movies where you think, how could they have let that happen? And there was no way to pull the plug, and they can communicate through the air itself. Oh yeah, well there's satellites up there, and oh yeah, you mean already they can do that already? Yeah, you theoretically could do that already. Oh, I see. So all it takes is for a bad actor, as we heard, or the AI itself to decide to go rogue, or people to go, this is just great, the robots are going to do everything. And we're being encouraged to use them. Unfortunately, I am a bit like the Will Smith character where I go, no. Hold on a second. Hold on. Don't put all your life in those things. Maybe put the automation in your life. They don't put your life in it. And somebody in one of the articles that I was reading made the comment that, there's nothing to worry about. Look at, the pace of change will not be anything like we think it will be. We'll have plenty of time to consider how to work through these things. Look at electric cars. There was not the big uptake. Partly because people looked at them and thought they were a bit naff. They couldn't hold their charge. They're also not clean. They're not green at all. Why did we go down that route rather than potentially finding a way to create clean hydrogen? Just a thought. And people also like the sense of control. So the fact that a car can drive itself isn't necessarily everybody's cup of tea, particularly when things can go wrong. Even a taxi. I've never been in one, but I'd think twice about getting one that didn't have a driver. And so that's not apples and apples. That's a different thing. But when you give people the ability to keep control of whatever it is they want, let's say their spare time, their free time, hey, well, do what you want, and the machines will do all that. And they'll think for you as well. Then I believe that we are really potentially in big trouble. But I mean, it'll turn out okay.
20 seconds to comply.
I think you'd better do what he says, Mr. Kenny.
You now have 15 seconds to comply. You are in direct violation of Penal Code 113. You now have 5 seconds to comply. 4, 3, 2, 1. I am now authorized to use physical force.
Thought I better cut that there. That looked like total science fiction before. And now will we have literally that ability if we decided to let it out there in the streets? What do you think of all of this, of AI? Is this just scaremongering? Am I just being overly cautious? Are we actually at the sort of beginning of a utopian time for all? Or should we be cautious? Anyway, please don't have nightmares. For the moment, for me, bye for now.